Welcome back, everybody, to the second episode of the Sicilian Starter Kit Guide. Today, we're going to be talking about the closed Sicilian, the second most popular response when you play the move c5. In case you're not aware of, e4, c5, this is called the Sicilian defense, and one of the most old openings out there, one of the most complex, and one of the most interesting, I have to say. So, in this particular position, we have discussed Knight of 3, which is the open Sicilian. I recommend watching that video. There will be a link on the description if you're not aware. But today we're going to be talking about a different Sicilian, and let me just reset this thing real quick. We're going to be talking about the closed Sicilian. This is the second response that you're going to be seeing in your games, and the most common one, especially in Rapid or Blitz. Some people take the task to try to learn the Open Sicilian. I know a couple of people on the Discord server. If you know what Discord server I'm talking about, you probably know if you watched the League of Games. And the Closed Sicilian, however, is slightly easier to learn with White. They're really just one thing to play when you're going for the Closed Sicilian. And that thing is the Grand Prix attack. This is very common and is one of the aggressive ways to respond in the closed Sicilian as White, and that's what we're going to be looking at. So, when someone plays the closed Sicilian on you, you have about four options. You have Knight c6, which is the traditional line. Sometimes you can even play e6 in these positions, or you can play the move that we're going to be looking at, what will be a6. I know this move doesn't look very likable, but as we continue this video, you're gonna slowly like it, and I will take you through the ideas of it, and life will be good. Let's begin. So after you play the move a6, the whole point of a6 is to go b5 if you get to the bishop. That is the entire point. And maybe later you're gonna play moves like e6, d5, queen c7, knight f6, knight bd7, stuff like that. You're gonna merge ideas from different Sicilians and implement them to this one, which sounds a little bit more hard than it actually is, but if you know how to do it, it's not hard. So, if you were white here, you would most likely go for the Grand Prix attack and just, be solid. And when you're black here and you see f4, or literally any other move in the manner, you're gonna go b5. Then they're gonna go knight f3 defending their king, or developing any other piece. And you're not gonna go b4. A lot of people, like, some screaming guy that likes to scream the rook, tell you to go b5, b4, a4, a5. No, you're not gonna do that. No, this is not blitz. This is rapid. You're gonna go bishop b7. You're gonna play the slow game. Now there's a couple of moves that white can play in this position. Primarily one of them is d4. If d4 ever happens, you just take, and they can take with either the knight or the queen, doesn't quite matter. If they take with their knight, then of course you can just develop whatever you want, or play e6, for example. You can play myriad of things. If they take with their queen, though, you need to develop with their knight, get that free tempo on the queen. Most likely will be taking with their knight, and when they retreat, and in fact, we're gonna look at the d4 variation, where they just advance after f4. So, most of the time, you're gonna be playing something that you are very familiar with. And what are you familiar with? The con and queen c7, not in this case because of the knight. For example, e6 here, very good move. You're disallowing the knight to come in. Now, playing f3, f5 here is kind of ridiculous, so just play knight f6 if that ever happens. And if e4, e5 happens as well, it looks really good and looks like a really good move. You're gonna lose the pawn, and it's not worth it. So they're not gonna do that. They're gonna develop like a piece, for example. If they do that, well, you do your normal stuff. You just develop, and you're fine. If they pin you, that's why you don't want to go with the bishop too proactively, because the pin. Now, if they pin you, though, it's kind of bad, because you just castle. If they take, then you take with the f pawn to, have that little two center pawns. You're going to use them to expand on the center, slowly but surely. If they ever attack you with their knight, just move around. I mean, there's nothing here. Okay, so the basic plan of when you're facing the closest Sicilian, you're gonna play something similar like the con, for example. Again, let's look at that again. If they take with the queen, we are gonna put your knight here, and then you're gonna move your pawn to e6, and then let's say they develop the bishop here. You're gonna just play it in the style of a con, and you're gonna go queen c7. I know the engine doesn't particularly like it, but it is a good move nonetheless. The point is you're preparing against the e5 post, like we looked at the con Sicilian. In this position, there are a lot of things that white can do. Most of the time, people just develop all their pieces before starting attacks. Now a good move here, knight f6 or d6. Either move is really good here. d6 is not good because of this attack on the queen. But if you move maybe in either of these two squares, you're basically fine. But the engine argues otherwise because of the move f5 here, which is very common on the Grand Prix attack. Now the engine is thinking about it. Like I told you, in the Sicilian defense, sometimes when it's like move 8 or move 9, unless you've blundered a piece or a tactic or some big inaccuracy, you probably shouldn't be trusting the engine. Because this position is not by any means losing for black. Maybe it's slightly better for white according to the engine, but I digress. So, bishop b7, very good move. In the closed Sicilian, there are times where a4 is possible, like in this case. When a4 is possible, you probably shouldn't be taking the pawn because, you don't want to develop the rook for free. Just giving this to white is kind of not really good. So just push the pawn, and probably will have to retreat it. Now, the engine is recommending to break down the structure here and stuff like that. You can develop your knight, and then if they take, well, again, you have the structure we've talked about. And if they try to, claim your pawn, you've got the option of pushing. But pushing the pawn might lead to, the knight getting in and being really hard to get rid of. In this case, you've got a move like bishop c8, which looks absurd, but it is a good move nonetheless. And maybe in the future, you're going to push the pawn. Okay. So, we've looked at a bunch of strategies when they play f4 and d4. So let's go back to alright, so this is the d4 variation and what to know about it. The moves we talked about, e6, queen c7, knight f6, and the knight coming in to attack the queen. Yeah, these are the moves you need to know about this variation. Let's go to another one of those variations. Again, this entire segment will be dedicated on how to play against the Grand Prix attack and some common ideas of it. Okay, so we've looked at the move d4 here, which leads to our variations, if we talked about them. What if instead of, playing aggressive like d4, they play a Marco 10, like knight f3? Okay, so we're gonna start with a nice little bishop b7 here, try and think out of the bishop, and of course, defend the rook, in case it gets attacked in the future. d4 leads to a transposition, we're gonna talk about it. Instead, let's say they play some Marco 10, like bishop b2. Very common move, I've seen that in my games a lot. E6, try to support d6 or d5. Again, when you're playing these type of structures, you can merge ideas together, like with the con Sicilian, you can merge the ideas together. It's a skill you can master and, just be very happy. Maybe not in real life, maybe in chess, but in real life, don't know how you can master mixing different things. Anyway, d3 here, very common move, try to think it of the other bishop. Again, you've got a myriad of options. I recommend going queen c7, con Sicilian style, because it's the easiest to play. Like, I've told you how to play the con Sicilian, and if you don't know how to play the con Sicilian, link in the description on the first Sicilian video, and of course, the entire playlist. There are two moves here white can play. They both are sort of similar. Bishop d3 is one of them. You've got two options here, going a lot more content with d6, or, again, d6, not likable by the engine, but it's a very good move nonetheless. Or going d5, aggressive, and white has to take it, because if they do not, they get forked. So, instead, they're gonna have to take, and you're still threatening something, and if they push, then you are just gonna push your c-pawn, and then, the game can take a lot more approaches, like they're knight hopping in, you're just gonna hop your knight in as well. Then they're gonna castle, for example. They're gonna put your knight here. Very commonly in the Grand Prix attack, there can be a move like g4 here. G4 ever happens, you're in a physical and attacking game. You're gonna play h6, and if they continue their plans, take, and well, taking this knight. Now white has the option of which knight to take. Taking this knight, well, you can sack and if they take, you mate. And if they attack your queen, then you give this check. They move, you discover, they go, and then you take this bishop. And if they take this bishop, you mate again, so they can't do that. Instead, you're gonna have to play like this and sack the knight. But if you take the knight, oh wait, you can't take the knight because you're in check. My bad. I didn't see that. So you're gonna have to move your queen, take, and they've got. If they take here, you take here, they take here, and you push the pawn. And now you're +2 in this position. Because of, if in your journey he has 4 pawns. I'm sorry, 5 pawns. I forgot how to count. And you've got around 6 pawns, and your pawn on e3 is very, very, very strong. And moving the king, castling, for example, can lead you to victory. Let's say they don't actually take the knight. Instead, they're smart and they take the bishop. You're gonna go here, sack the rook, because if they do this, they get mated in 3, like so. They get mated like this. Embarrassing, but can happen. What if they can't take either piece. They have to take one of the pieces, and the knight is most commonly going to be taken. They're not going to fall for all that, though. They're not going to go to this very, very lost endgame, which you're free to study on your own. So what if they take this knight? Well, you're going to sacrifice this knight, because again, if they take this, you're going to go, again, if you've got, actually, if you take here, and then they take here, and then you take here like this, and they take like this, and you could just give checks, and this game is getting very close to a draw. Or no, it's not. I don't know why the engine recommended this line. Anyway, so let's say you can always counterattack their knight. I'm sorry for that. The engine sometimes recommends moves that I didn't think were possible for a split second. I've, of course, never seen those moves. I wasn't prepared for those moves, but when the engine recommends it, you need to take a little second thought. That's why I was thinking about it. But apparently it's not working. Now, when you counterattack their knight, they've got a lot of options. The best option is to take this pawn, and here, and move their knight. And of course, if they take your knight, you take their knight. And if they take this pawn, you take this pawn. Now their king is under attack, so they're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to go here, which threatens something. And then you're going to go here. You're going to take the check, and then you're going to move your king. And then the game gets very rowdy. I mean, it could get really, really rowdy. And if they instead take your knight here, for example, we've looked at that. So let's go back to this. Taking your knight here, again, you take their knight. We've discussed about it. So let's say they take the pawn instead. You take with the bishop. Again, if they take here, you take here. And if they take here, you take here. And then we've got a transposition. So they're going to stop it by going here. You're going to take the knight. And they're going to take this pawn. And you've got this, which is just ridiculous. But it's not even the top engine move. The top engine moves to go here. I cannot explain it, because if they take, well, this king is very weak and easily exploitable. You can even sack the bishop here for mate, like this, I think. It's not mate, but you're winning the bishop back, and now mate the trident, and you need to block, and it's a mess, so that's one of the reasons that I go for d5, because the game can get really, really, really rowdy. So I like to be a little more content with like d6 here. The engine doesn't like it. I know the engine won't like it. But again, in a Sicilian video, the engine shouldn't really be trusted on move 7, unless you've blundered a piece, a tactic, or inaccurate, or something like that. Anyway, d6 is a lot more content. So castles, knight d7, g4 here can happen, but if g4 happens here, you can actually strike back on the queen side, because you haven't put your knight on f6, which can be attacked, so it doesn't quite make too much sense. Then, the knight moves, and then you can actually start clamping down on the center with a move like this, and yeah, it looks really, really appetizing of a position to play. I'm not going to go further, because you can branch out to different middle games. middle game strategies and stuff like that. You're free to study them on your own. I'm just giving you a basic idea of the whole opening. It's a setup. Now, a very common move here to play is something like this. Not very common, but can happen. You can push the pawn. Then this happens. So you need to be a little careful. Takes, for example. Don't take that knight, please. Do not do this mistake. Instead, develop your bishop in an active square. If they go here, then you just develop your knights, for example. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that white can do. You're free to study them on your own. I mean, not quite study, just, learn. But your setup will just remain the same. Like, bishop e7, e6, d6 or d5, queen c7, knight b7, knight f6, castles, and then moving your rooks to the open files, like e and c files. Your setup will just remain the same. And again, if you're wondering if, let's say they just castle straight away, well, again, you've got d6 or d5. d5, in this case, there's f4, because they haven't moved the bishop here, so it's not yet committed. So instead, a move like d6, very, very acceptable. Now if they move here, knight b7, and then say they move their queen, and then here, and if they go g4, once again, this time it's a free pawn, so yeah, as you can see, your setup, this is basically what your setup will look like. Then you're going to get your bishop to e7, you're going to castle kingside, because queenside is not really safe, and then you're going to put your rooks on the c and e files. You're going to play a lot more on the queen side, and a little bit on the center, than the king side. Okay, so that is the entire bishop e2, knight f3 thing on the Grand Prix. So let's look at some other things, and we're gonna continue to some other things that you might encounter during the Closed Sicilian. Again, we have looked d4, we have looked knight f3. Let's look at something slightly less common. g3. Alright, g3 straight up with the bat, you're gonna normal things. Bishop b7, very equal. Now they're gonna, that's a fianchetto opening, so they're gonna do that. And now again, your setup will just remain the same. I mean, e6, and let's say they develop their knight, queen c7 to support the push. I know the engine gives this a lot for white, but again, in a Sicilian position, you shouldn't be really trusting the engine for like things like that. Yeah, you shouldn't. Okay. And then we have again b5. I know the engine, the b4. I know the engine is recommending it, but don't do that. It's not worth it. d6. Very good move. Castle's very common. What if instead they just, decide to go queenside? If they go queenside, then, if for whatever reason they ever decide to, go to the queenside, you're gonna get all your pieces out. That is going for all the Closed Sicilian variations, by the way. If they go queenside, and they're gonna start climbing again. If they do this, takes, and takes. There is this time this tactic with the bishop, so you need to be careful. Instead, you need to move this knight here. Knight, yes, knight. I was about to say horse, but knight is the correct name. Anyway, here, and then here, and then now white has to play the move c4, which, yeah, it looks weird, but it does have a point. The game will get kind of hostile, and then you're gonna have to expand on the queen side, break down white's castle on the queen side, and then defend yourself. Sometimes in the Sicilian, it's common to just put your king on the center, and not move it for a little bit, and then go to the king side, or even the queen side if you're crazy. That is because if white, destroys the king side, and your king is still in the center, you've always got the queen side to go to, and because all the pieces will be focused on the king side, going to the queen side means that there won't be any pieces there. So that's the whole point. So that is pretty much the entire concept if white ever goes queenside. Now let's go back to our fianchetto thing. Fianchetto things, yes. Castles, for example, here, very common. Again, knight b7. You can play this on a constant style. If they ever play the move f4, do not take it. Instead, just go forward. Just go a little forward. You might be giving away the square temporarily. You've got the option of just straight up taking this. I mean, you can take it. It's not a bad move. If you move your queen, though, it is +1 because of the knights getting in, but you can also put your knights in and you're still fine. So again, the engine will say +1, but it's not that terrible. It is just 0.8. Now, this move is what you have to be worried about, because let's say you take, then takes, and as you can see now, it is +2, and kind of justified to be +2 here. The whole point is that, takes, and then you have to take this knight, and then, I mean, the material will just be equal. But it's +1.4. I don't know why it's +1.4. Maybe it's gonna go a little lower if we give it a little bit of time. No, it's not lowering itself. Okay, so that means that it's a good move. The whole point of it is that the king is kind of open. You could argue the king is open. You could argue the king is not open. I don't know, but it's +1.3. This time it's justified for some reason. I don't know what the engine is finding good here, but probably because of, just straight up attacking your king. And if we look at the material, it's like equal. The only bad thing about white's position is the double pawns. But it can get aggressive. It can get aggressive if you're not careful. Instead, if the knight does this hopping maneuver on d5, it's good to take it. And then if they take, now white has a split pawn structure. You can play knight f6 here, and you're fine. Defending the spawn, sure, whatever. And then you're just going to move your bishop, and then you're going to solidify their structures. Then you can take and chomp on the structure yourself. You can castle on the king side, and you can even just suffocate white. And if they try to undermine, you've got a5 here to just close the queen side. And now the attention will be most likely directed towards the center, and then you're gonna be playing for the center and move your rooks to the files, the Nc files, taking again like this. The engine recommends this. It's never ever going to happen in your games, but it's a very natural move here for white. I don't know. That's something. It's very obscure, and you need to think about that on your own. So that's basically the smallest and most starter setup I can give you against the Grand Prix attack. I played this against the Grand Prix attack myself without even needing to look at theory. I haven't seen a tutorial about this against the Grand Prix. Maybe I've seen one. Maybe I have. But the con thing, I maybe might have thought of this on my own. I didn't even see a video for that. But despite not being a con, a Sicilian, it's very efficient and very good. That is the entire segment for the Grand Prix. Now let's look at some other things that are not Grand Prix. Okay, so we have started up a new analysis. Let's flip the board. Let's go back to the closed Sicilian with a6. f4 is, of course, the Grand Prix attack. So let's look at something less common, like knight f3. Some people go for the closed Sicilian and don't go for the Grand Prix, and they just go for different other things. I'm not gonna go too much in depth, because there's not too much depth. Your setup will just remain the same. Literally. I'm not joking. Okay. So, if you were black here, you would play, correct, b5. Try to flank out of the bishop. I know the engine will not like it. The computer can eat a frank, honestly. Now, a very good move here. There are a lot of moves here. They can go for the aggressive d4, but if you watched the previous segment of this video, you know if this move happens, you've got knight c6 on the bag, and then bishop b7, and then if they ever undermine your pawn structure, we're going to talk about this, you're going to go here, and to put your knights here, you can e6, and then, yes, the knight looks really, really strong, but after that, I mean, yes, you can stay here for a little bit, but then you're just going to develop, or e6, d6 probably is a lot better in this position. I don't know why I played knight f6. Then knight f6, and then castles, and then going here, and then they just, the game just can look like this. It can look something like this. If they go here, push, then you can just counterattack their queen, force this exchange, and force this knight away. If they take the pawn, you take like this, and they've got this tactic now. Taking this bishop, absolute death sentence. But apparently it's the top of the move, and after this, you can just walk your king. Okay. You can just walk the king. If the engine says that, sure. Now you can play moves like this, and things can get kind of funky. But personally, none of my games have looked like this. Not a single one of my games have looked like what I've just shown you. So instead, they might just go for something more, how to call it, more content. Now, D4, if ever happens, you might need to take a look at the latest database to see the top ends moves and know what to play against on a real game. Of course, by that doesn't mean you should have the openings database in front of you. That's illegal and that's cheating. So you need to learn the moves by heart, not to just take a look at the book next to you. That's not legal. Anyway, now very good move here again is just developing a piece. Probably that's a very natural move. Bishop b7 and d4 again. We've got takes here. That's just not hard to follow. So instead, we've got castles, for example, in this position. We got e6 here. Now d4 again, the same thing, Every time d4 happens, you've got this nice little knight maneuver. So and they're gonna play something a lot more weird, interesting. d3, for example. Again, queen c7. It's one of the top ends of moves. Surprise! Queen c7 is one of the top ends of moves this time. I told you. D4 can happen, but it's a waste of a move. So instead, I might develop the bishop to either of these two squares. Doesn't matter. Again, D6, it's one of the moves. A4 to undermine the pawn structure. You can always just move your pawn like this. It's not quite worth to do it because the knight just will dance around a lot on the board and will waste a couple moves. A move like H3 is very natural here, or even developing the queen first. That's also very natural. And then we have knight b7. Moving the rooks to the open file, to the going to be open files. Then we have knight f6, and then we have here, and that's basically what a Sicilian position might look like to you. Ideas for black, to just put the knight in the center, maybe in the future, go c4 and crack open the position, move the rooks to the open files, that will be open in the future, the E and C files in particular. And yeah, that's all. That's basically it. That's knight of 3. That's the entire knight of 3. So let's go to a final variation, and we're gonna see some example games. Okay, for the final thing, you might not see this at all. I mean, you straight up might not see this. So we're gonna look at g3. This is a fianchetto, and obviously, it's kind of bad in this case. It doesn't make too much sense to just have a pawn blocking your bishop. Anyway, what do you do against this? Again, the setup remains the same, b5, and then they just develop, and then you're gonna go here, and they're gonna go here, you're gonna, e6. Now, where you're at the con, you're basically, now it's this French variation. Basically, this is the, and now, after a couple moves, this is the con. The knight variation, which is an open Sicilian, and the con, which I have a video on. So yes, it might transpose to something like this. And this is the variation, that this is a possible move for white that can be a transposition. And then you're just playing a con. I mean, you just play your things. You're playing, you're playing the con Sicilian. That is the entire point. That's why I want to include this one, because sometimes you might transpose. Who knows? You might transpose to something weird. And of course, we have to close off the video by just looking at total BS. Well, like Queen H5 if you're a beginner. This segment is only for like those that are low elo and they want to play the Sicilian. I mean, if you select Queen A5, like for example, people going, I'm a genius, I'm attacking the pawn. Play E6, and well, what do they do here? If I was a beginner, what I would play, I would just develop my knight probably. And then you just take a couple tempi on the queen, and you can take another tempo on the queen if you want. But again, d5 here, very good move. Takes, you've got this nice little center. If they push though, counterattack their queen, and then hopping with your knight back here. And if they try to crash down, takes, and then you've got queen here, and then if they defend like this, that's a free pawn. So they're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to move their knights. You can go here. And then this is what a game might look to you. In this case, you're hanging the pawn, so you need to be careful. So g5, you're gonna go kingside attack. Yep, exactly. A very silly move like queen h5 can turn into a nice little attacking game for black. How? I would never figure that out, but it's probably never gonna happen. H5 to try to undermine the attack, but you're just gonna sack the pawn according to, and then go here and trade down and win the bishop pair. Maybe in the future, who knows? Fuck up White's position so bad they might resign out of tilt. Who knows? Maybe you're gonna do that. So that's all I got for you. For the closed Sicilian on theory. Um, if you play A6, you are officially in the. I don't think it's called the mainland. I think it's called something like that, but it doesn't have a name. It should have a name, but I'm not sure what the name is. Yeah, that's it. That's the entire thing. I've given you a setup to follow. Bishop b7, b5, queen c7, e6, d6 or d5, and maybe d7 knight f6. Bishop b7 castles, rook f to e8, and rook a to c8. These are the moves that you need to know and implement them to your games. And then the plans, like putting a knight in an outpost, attacking bishops, trying to win the bishop pair. That is the entire thing. Now, I might pull up one example game, and we're gonna call it off here. Alright, so all of you might remember this game. This was one of the Leica games. Every time I say this, I get reminded of the failure. Anyway, we have, d4. But before b5. You need to be careful. So, when that happens, you're just gonna... This is literally the entire thing. Just the same thing. Looks like a con, you would say. I forgot to include this, but you get a nice little bonus teaching lesson. Bishop f4, that's just not gonna happen in your games. I know it looks good, but it's not good. It's not. It's just not good. d6, again, you're gonna play it on a con Sicilian style. And then knight f6, and then the bishop here, and then... Now, in this case, I decide to attack it. Because, might as well, I mean... Okay, they're just gonna move the bishop again. Now we're gonna go here. I've given this up, I know, but they didn't see that, so why not? I know b5 looks bad, because now they find it, but it's not as strong now because of the move like this. Well, this was better, honestly. But, whatever. Here, and the castle. And now I just win the queen. So that's why the game ended. That was one of the example games. I'm gonna try to find one, and if I don't find one, because I haven't seen the closed Sicilian a lot in my games, I will just close the video. I'm just not joking. Alright, I was lucky. I found a game. I found a game pretty fast, though. I actually thought that it didn't have a lot of closed Sicilian games, but I actually do. I have a bunch. I will show you this one. So we have knight f3. How am I transposed to the con? Okay. Let's transpose to the con. But we're not going to transpose to the con. You really thought. How would we transpose to the con in this position? Well, I would probably play something like this, and then takes, and... I don't know how you transpose to the con here. Either... Is it queen? I don't know how you I don't know how you transpose to the con. Maybe it's this. Oh, it's this. Okay, so that's how you transpose to the con. Okay, I found how to transpose. Anyway, A6. This is the O'Kelly system. They've played basically knight f3. I don't know why it's called like that, but I didn't even know it had a name. We have the bishop c4 variation. Now, if bishop c4 happens, and it's looking out of place. B5. I didn't include bishop c4 because I thought it was too much of a BS move and doesn't make too much sense. Because it doesn't. Don't know why you're putting your bishop in a way that can be attacked. But okay, bishop b7. And then we have takes and knight c6. We've been seeing that the entire video. Queen d2. Queen c7. Again, d6. Knight f6. Bishop e7. These are all things you've seen on the entire video. It's like a setup. It's like all the moves are very natural. In this case, I decided to go to the rook of the d8 square. Now it goes h4. Now the game will turn attacking. So you get to see a little bit of a long side castle from white. And a little bit of what to do. White is committed to, playing h5, h4. We attack the queen. Let's start by that, because the queen is on an odd spot. We go here to try and win the pawn. They completely ignore it, by the way, just saying. g6, it's safe to play g6 here. The knight hops in. We decide to attack the queen, but in this case, I hung this tactic. Because if I take this, I get slaughtered because of mate. But it's a blitz game, so obviously they're not gonna see that. So queen c4 instead, and now I'm winning. So here. Now if you wanted to be a successful attacking person, there's this move, and if they take, there's mate, and if they take, and take, there is mate. So here, here, and here, and we checkmate. Just straight up, we checkmate. We won by a luck on this one, but whatever. I'm gonna find one more game to show you, and we're gonna be closing here. Here we are. We have the O'Kelly system, whatever the hell it's called. Anyway, again, b5. If d4 happens, like I told you, the aggressive option takes knight c6. Queen d1 all the way back. Bishop e7, you've seen that before. Bishop to f4. And the reason I didn't include this because I thought it's not going to be that common. But the fact that it's actually 2 games in a row now, yeah, it's kind of worrying me. Anyway, again, if you see moves that you haven't seen on the video, and they don't pose too much of a threat to you, just go according to the plan, and just play your setup. e6, d6, d5. Why did I play d5 in this case? Because, you know, if I did this, then the position is good for me. It is, in fact, good for me. But I just didn't go for it because I thought I don't know what I thought. d5. It's fine, though. It's equal. Castles, bishop c5. This time I decided to go a little bit more aggressive than I normally do. So I would develop to active squares. And my bishop can't really get kicked around. Bishop g5, attacking the queen. f6. Okay, not bad of a move. Takes with the knight. Knight h4, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Castles. Now I don't know what my opponent is doing, honestly. That can happen in your games too. Don't worry. I decided to move my bishop back to e7. At the end of the day, I am just playing my setup. I take this knight and decide to go for some complications. And in fact, he actually, thanks to his complications, he loses to my complications, and we take the free knight. Now he goes back, and we go back too, and as you can see, I sacked the knight. It would be a blunder by normal statistics, but in this case, I am winning because there's just too many threats to defend. Takes. He doesn't just take like a normal person and stop the fork. Instead, he lets me take the knight. He lets me trade queens, trades even further, and then he is in a little bit, after a lot of walking around, resigns here. So that's all the games I got for you. You're free to try out the Closed Sicilian. Free to try it out on yourself. See if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, you tried. But you need to know how to play against the Closed Sicilian because there's a ton of the moves. If you're only prep for the Open Sicilian, if you see the Closed Sicilian for the first time, you might struggle. So that's why I make these videos, to cover literally anything that can happen in your games. I mean, not literally everything. Some things are not going to happen, like stupid moves like h4, literally out of nowhere for no reason. But yeah, that's all. I hope that gave you a bit of insight on what to do in the Closed Sicilian, and I will see you very, very soon. Goodbye.